I feel like most crafters at some point or another have at least thought about doing craft fairs. So I figured I'd just kind of go over a couple of the things that I've learned doing craft fairs. So if you are thinking about doing them, maybe save you from making some of the mistakes that I've made. So the first thing to consider is, what are you going to be making? Now a lot of people usually have something that they already enjoy making and they're like, oh, I can make a whole bunch of them and sell them. I am going to really encourage you to not make earrings. When you're getting started, I would suggest going to a craft fair just as a customer and really look at what's for sale and look at what's selling. Because a lot of people get really great ideas for things and they're really well made and well packaged and well thought out and everything's good. If there's 5 different tables selling earrings, you're not going to get as much business. That was what I did the first couple of years. I made earrings and I did good. And then I started walking around the craft fairs and I realized there was like 4 or 5, 6 other people selling earrings too. It's not as exciting for the customers when it's like the same thing at every table. So when you're thinking of what you want to take, there's a few things. You want to look at who's coming to the craft fairs, what age is it? It's mostly going to be women, middle-aged and older women. If it's at a school or a fundraiser or something, there's going to be kids too. And earrings seem like a really good thing because they're small, easy to take with you, easy to make. You can do a bunch of different things with it. But again, everybody does earrings. So I ended up switching to bath bombs because they're really popular to use. They're small, easy to transport, heavy. They are heavy. But there's something different. Like I've seen them at one other craft fair, but that's it. There's something that's fun. They're good for any age. I got some for kids. Teenagers like them, obviously. Adults, older women, if they're not something they're interested in, they're great for a gift for Christmas. That's a big thing, is Christmas presents. So the bath bombs are working out really well for me. And another thing about that, and with the earrings, everybody can do earrings. If you go to a craft fair, you're going to see a few of the same things. You're going to find the primitive wood signs, the hand knit mittens and hats and washcloths, and earrings, usually some paper crafting. And if there's like one person selling that at each craft fair, that's great. But it's when you start seeing multiples of the same thing at all the tables. You really want to avoid that. You want to have something that's different and unique, and if possible, something that not everybody can do. So I'm not saying don't do them. If you can find something really cool that nobody else can do with your earrings, go for it. I feel like the craft fairs are really oversaturated with earrings. Maybe it's different in your area. Like I said, go to a craft fair, scout it out, see what's there. Maybe it's exactly what your area needs. You want to be selling something that people want to buy. And they're really nice quality and they're nice things, but people going to craft fairs aren't usually going to be spending, $20, $30, $40 on one thing. They're usually looking for Christmas presents. So I've noticed the tables tend to do better if they have smaller things. Like small little things that people can give to grandkids or put in stocking stuffers. Now, another thing you want to consider when you're doing a craft fair is pricing. This is one of the hardest things for me. If you look online, you'll find pricing guides and they'll say you take your time and the supplies and that's your cost. And then you double it, that's your wholesale, and you double it again and that's your retail. But they also say that your skill is worth money and worth at least $20 an hour. And that may be so, but if you're figuring something like that, it takes you an hour to make something, even if it's no supply cost, it takes 1 hour to do it. That's $20. You double it for wholesale, double it again for retail. That's $80. Nobody's gonna spend $80 on something. Like with my bath bombs, I don't count time because you're not gonna get your money back for time, especially if you're doing any like knit things. So each bath bomb costs me for supplies $1 to make. Now I know the stores usually sell them individually for $4, and that's a good point for me because I'm making plenty of money. It's still worth my time because I enjoy doing it anyway. And that's a good price for people to buy them at. They feel comfortable there. So that's a price range people feel comfortable. And then of course if you do a deal, like mine are $4 each or 3 for $10, they can get three presents, 3 stocking stuffers, 3 gifts, or you can get 1 gift for somebody. You want to keep the price down where people feel comfortable. They like walking away with lots of different things, feeling like they got a good deal. So another thing that's good to have prepared before you go to the craft fair is something to say to people that's going to pull them in and make them stop at your table. If you watch people at a craft fair, they'll walk about 2 feet away from the tables in a line and just kind of mosey real slow and look at everything, but they won't look at you unless you say something to them. Now, everybody will say, oh, hello, good morning, how you doing, stuff like that, and keep moving. You gotta have something that's gonna get them to stop and look at what you have. Like with the earrings, I would say they'd come by and I'd say, good morning, morning. And then I'd let them know, hey, everything here is nickel free, so if you're thinking of a gift or something, and you're welcome to paw through, everything's different. Because I'd have them kind of stacked in a little thing and you had to dig through them to see everything. That would get them to stop, touch them, look through them, find something interesting, give you a chance to start a conversation. And now with the bath bombs, I'll have a little bowl set up with some water in it. I'll take one bomb and break it up into little pieces, so when they come by, I'll say, hey, have you seen these before? And they'll either say, yeah, and I'll be like, hey, you want to see, want to try them? Or if they haven't, obviously, this is what they are, you want to see what they do. So you want to have something in place to say to them to get them to stop. Something else to think about if you're going to do a craft fair are the logistics of it, or what you're going to need when you go to a craft fair. You don't really think about until you're there and you're like, oh crap, I don't have this thing. So a lot of craft fairs, you pay for your space and then you can either pay more for a table or bring your own table. A lot of places, if it's at a school or something, they have the tables. Spaces are usually an 8-foot space, so a 6-foot table is usually what you want to go with. I usually do them with a friend of mine, so I bring just like a little square card table, and so that's my half of it, and then she has her own table for her half. Another thing is a tablecloth. You'll want something big enough to fit a whole table if you need it. And I just fold mine in half for the smaller table. That way if I have the opportunity for a big one, I don't need to go buy a new piece. And I just bought a piece of fabric at the craft store. You want to choose usually a solid color because you really want your items to pop out. Obviously pick a good color that complements it. If you can, set it up at home. Set the whole tablecloth up, everything, set up how you do it. If you have any like display racks or anything, so that you know how it's going to set up and how it's going to look. So when you get to the craft fair, you can just pop it up, you know what it's going to be. If you do have like a display rack or something, that's a really good thing to have bring it kind of up, off, give it something visually when people are scanning. Like with the bath bombs, it's kind of hard to have something raised, but what I do have is, like I said, I have a little glass bowl and I'll fill with water, so when people come through, they can see that and they'll see it's colored, and it's just something a little bit different. And I usually use a couple of baskets. I just have like a couple of small short baskets that are really good for putting the bath bombs in, and I spray paint those all the same color to keep it the same. I have like a dark turquoise tablecloth. I feel like it's kind of reminiscent of bath time. I might get a lighter blue one. And then the baskets are white. I want the whole display to come off clean and fresh because that's kind of what I'm selling. So like if you're doing something primitive, I know a lot of people do woodworking stuff, and where wood's kind of one color, they'll do like a primitive homespun fabric, like a gingham, a really country looking gingham. Just choose colors and things that are really going to make your items pop and kind of stand out. A couple other things are a chair. Usually they're provided, but it doesn't hurt to have one just in case. You don't want to get stuck without a chair, it's not fun. Bags. I've seen a lot of people buy just like the paper lunch bags, which are totally fine and they work great. Some people will buy like the paper gift bags, but those are really expensive. So a little secret trick that I discovered is I like to use these, and I've shown them to one person before. They're like, what are those? These are actually dog bags. I'm going to show you because they work perfectly. They're strong enough to hold the 3 bath bombs, because that's usually what people buy from me. Just a little plastic bag with a handle. And yes, these are for picking up dog crap. But they're strong, they're eco-friendly, biodegradable, so people don't have to worry about that. They're kind of cute. You can get them scented if you want to, but I don't get the scented ones because my bath bombs are already scented and that would be weird. So that's kind of my little secret tip. They're really cheap and you buy them in big boxes of bulk. It kind of sets you apart. A lot of people do just like the paper lunch bags because they're cheap and you don't want to spend a lot on bags. Always bring snacks and a lunch if you want to. A lot of craft fairs will have food, especially if it's at a school fundraiser type thing. They'll open the kitchen, they'll have food for sale. I always bring a lunch because I don't want to be spending the money I just made on food. So it's not awkward or anything. A lot of people will bring their lunch, and you always want to bring at least some snacks, because I've been to, there's one craft fair we went to, it was new, first year they started doing it, and there was literally like 5 people who came through. That was it, because they did not advertise it. And lunchtime rolled around, we all started getting hungry, all the vendors, and they were like, oh yeah, we didn't plan anything for food, so they didn't have anything. So they ended up coming around and taking people's orders. If you wanted to get something from the convenience store down the road, they had some menus and stuff. So that was a bit rough, and I wish I would have had some snacks that day. I had a couple things, but not enough for the day. Just because it ended up costing me more than I made, for sure. I don't think I sold anything that day. So always be prepared. Bring lots of snacks and lunch if you want to. And something to work on. I always bring my knitting or crocheting or whatever I've got going at the time, because there are some craft fairs where you're gonna have some dead spots and you're gonna have plenty of time, and it's nice to get something, to have something to do. Not to mention, if people come through, it's also an icebreaker if you're kind of uncomfortable talking to people, and it's nice to get some work done on your projects while you're doing it. I will usually go hit up the bake table at the end of the day though. At the school craft fairs, you go, you know, they sell a bunch, they wait like the last hour or so of the craft fair. They'll usually have a lot of goodies left they want to clear out, so they'll mark them down half off. You wait a little longer, half off again. That's when I go hit the big table, and I usually fill up like a big bag of stuff and bring it home. Normally I don't walk around at the craft fairs anymore, just because I don't want to find something that I really want and spend the money. So I just avoid it, but I do hit up the bake tables. So hopefully you guys got something useful out of this video. I feel like I was a little all over the place. If you guys like what you've seen so far and want to see what I get up to next, you know what to do.